Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening because we have a different time zone. So I would like to welcome you all to join our web forum. And I'm very proud that we have our distinguished speakers and our honorable moderator hari ini, Pak Syafiq. So I would like to welcome you all. First, I would like to introduce Pak Syafiq, but before that, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Ibrahim, and I will be your host, and I will help Pak Syafiq to host this web forum. And first of all, I would like to read some of our web forum regulation, and I would like to ask Putri, can you please share? Yes, so this is the rules and regulation of the webinar, or what we like to call web forum. So during the web forum, when the host and the speaker started the panel discussion, we asked all the participants to put off the microphone, muted your microphone so it will not be a distractions. And the only hosts and speakers are allowed to speak during the sessions. You can put your question in the message board if you have, if you want to give out questions. You can put all of your message in our message board, and the opportunity to ask will be given after the host and the moderator allowed the participant to do so. Okay, question can be directly addressed to the host, and then you can also directly to our moderator, Pak Syafiq. And for LSPR student, you can take your screenshot during the session and get an e-certificate of approval to get your non-academic points. Okay, that is the rules and regulations of our web forum. And here now I would like to introduce our moderator, Pak Syafiq Basri Assegaf. Okay, MA, MD, CBM, IAPR. Well, there's a lot of titles. Pak Syafiq, congratulations for that. And he studied MA in journalism in University of Technology in Sydney, medical doctor, University Pajajaran Bandung, and graduate certificate CBM in marketing management. So he's very experienced in communication consultant as well. He's also a lecturer in London School until now, since 2003. So I would say he has a really good insight in terms of communication perspective. And I would like to say that in PR ethics, Pak Syafiq is also very trained because he's one of the member of Indonesian PR Association, what we call Perhumas. So there's a lot about Pak Syafiq, but I would like you to get to know him personally as well before he also introduce our speakers. And please, during this session, please all the participant muted their speaker so we can actually have a conducive seminar in the beginning until the end. Okay, thank you. And I would like to introduce Pak Syafiq.
Oh, hello, everybody. Good afternoon here in Jakarta. Maybe good evening in some other area. There is also our friend, Mr. Jose in Madrid, Spain. Maybe he can join us and he will present also in this web forum later on through the video that he has prepared for us.
Yes.
Now, let me introduce all the speakers to you. Number one, we will have Dato Haji Ibrahim Abdul Rahman. He is the president of Institute of Public Relations Malaysia. It's like Perhumas in Indonesia. We have Institute of Public Relations Malaysia. Dato Haji Ibrahim Abdul Rahman, has been in public relation development for a long time, especially in Malaysian government. Is put in account as a brilliant track record. After achieving his master's in public relations in Boston University in 1991, he started his career on 1983 as a public relations officer in Department of Immigration, Malaysia. He continued climbing up his career in Ministry of Information as senior PR officers. PR officer, and today he is the Central Director in Department of Information Malaysia after previously holding important position at the same department. Dato Haji Ibrahim, born in Botakiri, Perak, Malaysia, 55 years ago, and is now actively following international trainings in many countries, such as Human Resources Studies in Manchester University, UK, Southeast Asian Youth Invitation Program in Japan, World Public Relations Forum in Melbourne, Australia, International Conference on Internet and Socio-Cultural Transformation in Information Society in Yuzhno-Sakhalin, Russia in 2013. All right, so now I think it's the turn for Mr. Jose Manuel Velasco. He'll be our second speaker. Jose Manuel Velasco is the executive coach and communication consultant, and he also past chair of the Global Alliance for Public Relations and Communication Management. Global Alliance is the biggest PR community for practitioners and also for academics. Jose Manuel Velasco Guardado, born in Spain 1965, has a degree in journalism from Madrid's Complutense University and completed the advanced strategic program at the Institute for Management Development in Lausanne, Switzerland. He is Associate Certificate Coach, or SCC, by International Coach Federation. Currently works as PR consultant and executive coach. He is member of the advisory board of the Latino American leading PR agency, Lorente and Cuenca, whose coaching practice leads and senior advisor of Thinking Heads. Mr. Jose, as voluntary contribution from July 2017, he chairs the Global Alliance for Public Relations and Communication Management, the confederation of the world's major PR and communication management association and institution, representing 200,000 practitioners and academics around the world. Jose Manuel Velasco's work experience includes 25 years leading PR departments in several large companies as FCC, Construction and Environmental Services, Union Fenosa is Gas and Power, and Renfe, the railways. Prior to start working on PR, he worked as a journalist as well as myself for printed media and radio broadcasters. That's Mr. Jose. From June 2008 until November 2014, he was chairman of the DIRCOM, the leading professional body in the corporate communication sector in Spain. And from 2006 to 2008, was the president of Foretica, the leading Spanish forum promoting ethics in business. Okay, the third speaker, this beautiful lady, Miss Yin Xiaodong, also called Pamela. She is the founder of 17 PR and the chairman of Golden Flag Award Headmaster of China PR School. Mrs. Yin graduated from Xi'an University of Science and Technology, worked in PR and media field for over 16 years. She has very unique insight of China's PR industry, and she has tremendous experience in branding, CSR, integrated marketing, public relations, and cultural communication field. Found 17 PR, the organization, in 2004. After 16 years, 17 PR has become the most popular and leading platform for China's public relation platform. It also becomes the major brand and communication channel between China's public relation industry and the world. Start the Golden Flag Award since 2009. Nowadays, it has become the most influential and most appreciated PR award in China. Found the China PR School in 2005. It's a brand that focuses on providing professional training and on cultivating more cross-cultural talent specialized in branding, PR, marketing, creative, and management. It had provided training and related services to nearly 1,000 companies in China. Okay, that's all the three speakers that will be our very talented and resourceful speakers for us, from whom we can learn a lot about public relations and communication in general and management in this difficult time. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, now let's start with Dato Ibrahim. But prior to that, let me just bring you to a little bit of information why we choose this themes, this topic today. Okay, you know, from communication management perspective, we see at least three things to be addressed in this pandemic era, what's so-called the new normal. Number one, there is a digital aspect of the organization that needs to be addressed. Okay, the digital technology can optimize work from home setups beyond typical office jobs. We don't go to the office, we work from home, but how the digital aspect of IT can help us in sharpening our institution, the mission and vision and the objectives of all organizations. So since this aspect is the backbone of many activities, so how the IT elements can serve better for the whole stakeholders, it is very important. But also we know that employees who work either in IT department or other departments are also the very important number one stakeholders that companies need to address. The other thing beside the IT technology, the digital aspect of the technology is the sub business unit, the SBU. You know, we want to know, and it is important to know how the senior communication management in the sub business unit can assist. For instance, you know, take the thoughtful and well-founded decision for the recovery and then sustainable future for all stakeholders, especially during this difficult time. We want to know about that. We will hear from the three speakers about this thing. And the third one is, of course, the headquarter, the corporate management, how the CEO, how the communication officer, you know, the leaders in the company will comprehend and motivate the employees inside the headquarter or also in the branches, in the sub-units, in all areas, how they can work in, you know, as efficiently and safely in this difficult time. So that's a little introduction from myself, but we will hear more from the speakers, and we will discuss that later on after every speaker. Now let's give the applause to Mr. Dato Ibrahim Abdul Rahman. Time is yours, Dato.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Can you all hear me?
Yes, Pak.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Clearly.
Good afternoon to you all from Alostar, Kedah, in one of the northern states in Malaysia. Let me first and foremost, given the task by the organizer, I must thank you all for inviting APRN to be part of this web forum. I have a slide presentation which will share with you right now, but unfortunately, the task given to me is how the Malaysian government, public relations, handling the COVID-19 crisis, which is part and parcel of our job. And I was the Director General of the Ministry of Information. And also, this is also part and parcel of what we do in our daily life. So handling crisis is in us. You know? I've done MH370, MH17, intrusion in Sabah, and many other crises that the government faced then. Next, can we have the first slides, please? So communicating in a crisis, and now that we are facing COVID-19, starts to get the Malaysian experience. And I want to quote from the beginning here, a doctor, surgeon from the US, now based in Australia. And she said, Malaysia is an example of what happens when leaders listen to science, practice good communication, and the population supports their leadership. This is a quotation that I got from the Facebook of the Director General of Health Malaysia. So the experience that we have gone through, and I believe the pandemic is happening all over the world. All of us are affected. All of us are in it together. You know, it's a question of the time and duration, how countries recognize whether it is going to be affected dearly, or whether we just take it as a normal any other viruses that has been distributed earlier. So again, from the Malaysian government perspective, one thing that is good, they recognize that this is a pandemic early on. As we all know that well-defined problem is a problem half solved. So the Malaysian government has made it hard decision very early in order to contain the spread of the virus or to break the chain of virus. So importantly, the communication part of it is what building trust towards the government. It so happens during the early part of the outbreak, there is a political turmoil in Malaysia, change in government. But once the current Prime Minister took over the country, quickly steps being taken, movement control order, strict border control. There is no more inter-countries moving, testing, and tracing, isolation, and also quarantine centers being set up. But more importantly, for us as a communicator, there's what open, clear, and consistent messaging. They have daily press conferences, very regular, and an evidence and fact-based decision. At the same time, as a general perspective now, the government also spent nearly almost 60 billion US dollar allocation as a post MCO economic stimulus, just to build the trust towards government. What the government has done, we need to communicate to the public, especially citizens of Malaysia, that this is not any other virus outbreak before. This is very serious. This is pandemic level, and we need to work together as a nation. Next. Can I have the next slide? Yeah. So communication played a very crucial role in ensuring maximum readiness to contain the spread of the virus. In a time when political turmoil, the change of government, former Prime Minister Tun Dr. Mahathir resigned from Prime Minister's post, and Tan Sri Muhyiddin took over. There is lots of uncertainty there. There's a lot of anxiety. There is a lot of fear. And to some extent, there is a mass panic in the sense that what has happened? Can the new government be able to control this the pandemic, and whether the country is moving towards the right direction? And it's very important for communication to relay messages that allay the fear, allay the ensuring a certain kind of comfortability among the society. Next. So building trust towards government through an effective communication and action plan is so crucial. We need to have the public to have a positive perception about the government, and the confidence level of the citizens in the actions of the government, whether government to do what is right and perceived to be right for the situation of the country. And this is something that difficult in initial stage, knowing that the cabinet was just formed. They don't have enough time to normalize the formation, to normalize the actions of other ministries, and yet this coronavirus, spread rapidly in Malaysia, and we need to make hard decisions and to communicate important messages and get everyone on board. And the strong leadership provided by the current Prime Minister, next, Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin, is so hugely important. He practically, when he took over, jumped into action, taking all the hard decisions, and at certain point, people felt that they are being taken care of by the new government. And so he provided that leadership, and using all available resources, getting the leadership of other cabinet ministers and also ministries, trying to convince, trying to break the chain of spread of this virus. And 1, 2, or 3 figures came out strongly. That's next. Through the leadership of the Director General of Health, Dr. Nur Hisham. At the peak of the pandemic, he is the one who been talking about the pandemic and assuring the public that all is okay, but we need to work together, to stay at home, to provide updates and regular briefings, and so much so that he was China Global TV has listed him, Dr. Nur Hisham, Director General of Health, as the top 3 leading doctor in fighting against COVID-19. The other 2 is Dr. Fauci from the US. He's the man that people have put their trust, and his leadership provided a calm to the public, the very composed man, very intelligent, soft-spoken, and yet he being able to provide information, facts that people felt that we need to, we have a government here is taking care of the problems, the crisis right now. Next. So having all this leadership, including the Minister of Home Affairs, or rather the Security Minister, Dato Ismail Sabri, quick response structure that has been already in place, the National Crisis Preparedness and Response Center come into action with everything that need to be discussed, a very transparent, very fair and balanced dialogue between government agencies, how everyone match their efforts, moving towards the goal, and having a single spokesperson as part of the communication during crisis, so that we don't want to have a conflicting information that being churned out through the media. The single spokesperson is the Dr. Nur Hisham, Dr. Ismail Sabri, on the implementation of MCO, and also by the Prime Minister himself on all the announcement of the stimulus and all that. But any other ministers or DGs to support these 3% with their regular media briefings and also update. And also all briefings being live telecast over official TV and social media platform. and also using direct communication to target audience on all media, not necessarily only on the broadcasting, the print, the social media, but as well as the outreach program, face-to-face communication. So effective and timely communication is so hugely important to be shared among the public, from the government. So like terms like social distancing, flattening the curve, stay home, wear mask, sanitize your hand, it becomes a new normal. Everyone trying to comply with the directive from the Ministry of Home Affairs, or rather from the National Crisis Preparedness and Response Center. So the MCO was fully enforced, start from 18th of March, and till today at the level of recovery. Next. Next slide, please. And we see also, in terms of the media, the communication change, where the volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity comes to the forefront in the post-COVID. People are more concerned with fake news. And so important that at the initial pandemic, real news matters. People are quite confused. All the fake news that have come have been shared, and to bring them back to trust information from the official source, from the center, is further exemplified, and through fake media was eventually come down hard on them. If you are not sure of whether this is the truth, you better don't share it. It has been very, very strictly enforced then. Next. So, next, please. So we see how the change of media consumption here. Initially, it was 80% of the population depends on FB as their source, a news source. And then it goes down to 70%, goes down to 50%. But the official source from Ministry of Health, the website, the briefings, the Twitter, Instagram become the official source that people believe in, and to get everyone on board what is happening, and how that we can work together in order to break the change of the spread of this virus. Next. I got to go very fast here. Time is really limited. No? So similarly, information on with information of dissemination of information to reach out those not connected, an outreach program, face-to-face communication is important. The loudspeakers being used to create sense of seriousness of the pandemic, that it will impact the human life, and also to change attitude to comply with the directive of MCO. And frontliners, very important also for frontliners to be the target of them, because the buy-in must come from them. They are the ones sacrificing their life, in fact, to be at the forefront. The police, the army, and the health workers are open or exposed to the spread of this virus. Next. So communicating during pandemic. This one article by Lizette Paras, which appeared in PR Daily, titled "How to Adopt PR Strategy for the COVID-19 Outbreak," was published in March 24th, 2020. I used this article as part how that we have done in terms of communicating during it. Think critically about how to tell your story. This is so important that for companies, for organizations, to make sure that you judiciously evaluate how to tell a story. When audience are more concerned with health, loss of jobs, economic turmoil, movement control order, and that sort, or to evaluate whether we should be communicating at all. Yeah? And the government also need to focus on how to get everyone together fighting the virus. At this time of heightened anxiety and unknown future and about that were impacted by the COVID-19, succinct communication, facts, feelings, and action is more important than ever. Everything that relates to COVID-19, about the facts, the feelings that we felt being locked down, being controlled in your own home, and also the actions that the government has taken is the focus for government crisis communication team to ensure that they are being felt safe, they are supporting what the government has been doing. Next. The second part of the your comments is to know the news cycle. It centers around the impact of the. You see, news cycle, breaking news becomes the time people will expose themselves, especially during the briefings at 3 o'clock every day. In fact, in the morning initially, in the afternoon later on. And the news cycles all concentrate on the pandemic, and the resource of journalists are all been strained. There's media have enough stories to fill their pages, their airtime. If you a company wanted to communicate the time, whether it's appropriate or not, that's something that, of course, you need to look at the long term by building brand visibility through leadership. For organization, the COO, the CEO needs to provide that kind of leadership in order to make the organization visible in times of it. Of course, you cannot be selling. For example, when there is no event, you cannot sell events. You cannot be telling the world that you have marketing campaign to do whatever industry that has been put locked down, because people will not listen to you, number one. Number two, lots of people will find, look, I'm not interested of your campaign. Okay, that's again the question of IT, more apps being developed by companies.
Oh, kalian 15 lah.
Next.
Nabi.
Yeah.
Sorry, maaf. One of the participants forget to muted her microphone. Can you please mute your microphone?
Okay, thank you. Sorry for the interruption.
Thank you for the interruption. Sorry, Pak Dato.
Okay, so
let's continue.
The fundamentals. See, we APRN and several captains of the advertising industry, we have formed this Heroes Board of Governors in order for us to match our efforts to support what we call as Celebrating Heroes campaign, to appreciate and thanking the frontliners through digital out of home, the billboards, and companies who would like to associate with us in order to thank them by having their logo, their messages on the billboards, digital billboards during this period as part of the appreciation. There are many NGOs who come on board, there are many companies who come on board, there are also many volunteers who contributed when the need arises, especially when in the initial stage, when the PPE was in shortage, even tell us, volunteers to sue the PPE to be used by the frontliners. So these are the important messages that we need to was done at that time to appreciate how difficult we stay home for them to work in order to protect us. Kita jaga kita. What's the hashtag which is very popular now. Next, I think that's basically what I've covered briefly during the time that quoted to me about building trust towards the government and what the Malaysian government did, and then how the communication changed, and then communicating during pandemic based on the article done by Ms. Paras, that we can use that as guidelines in order to plan our communication during a crisis that we have now. We are still facing. We are afraid that the second wave of the pandemic will come in. Hopefully that everyone will maintain what we've been doing all this while. Wear masks, wash your hands, sanitize your hands, and make sure you don't go to big crowds. And I think it all applies to all countries. With that, I must thank the organizer for having this, and thank you very much.
Right. All
Thank you, Pak
right.
Dato.
Thank you very much, Pak Dato. Terima kasih banyak. Very interesting presentation, Pak Dato. I have seen quite many similar things that what Malaysian people did with Indonesian, but there are also some movements that we need to learn more from Malaysia, perhaps. Like, for instance, when you told us about, this, we have also celebration and praise the, we call them the, the frontliners that you call the frontliners with Wira and Wirawati. We also here in Indonesia, there are people who praise the doctors and nurses who spend times and energy to prevent the spreading of this bloody virus. Yeah. But there are other things that we will discuss that with you, and for the audience, please bear with me. I have several things that we need to discuss with Pak Dato. But also, of course, if you have questions for audience, please put your questions in the chatting platform there, and we will discuss that later on. But now, Pak Dato, please tell us more about two-way communication between Malaysian government with the citizen. Yeah, do you have mentioned a little bit about how strong the leadership now, and how is the Director General for Health that has been named as the three best leading leaders by the media, international media. But what about the two-way communication? As we understand, we are taught that the best way to communicate with audience, with stakeholders, to use the two-way symmetrical communication. Could you please tell us more about that? And then, what about media roles? Can you explain more, elaborate more on the media roles, especially as far as we understand, Indonesian media is very free. Much freer than perhaps our neighbors like Malaysia and Singapore or Brunei. But now we want to know more about the media roles, the TV stations, the surat kabar, yeah, because since maybe they are a little bit controlled by the government, would it be freer than before because of the situation, or are they just the same, and government still ask them to put up the news as according to what the government wants to be delivered? Thank you.
Okay, let me answer the media question first before I answer the two-way communication. You see, during this pandemic, we get everyone on board, get everyone thinking when they are home, the media consumption is quite high in the sense that you don't have anything to do. You don't have to come to work, you stay at home, and you tend to, get exposed yourself to Facebook, Twitter, that kind of thing. You have more time for yourself and your family rather than for the last like 90 days, for example, during especially the first few weeks when the MCO was enforced. Yeah? See, media, the official one, and also the social media part, which I mentioned just now. The earlier part, the beginning of the pandemic, is the social media that becomes a powerful sharing of information, and it goes with it is fake news as well. And at the same time, as I might say, the political situation in Malaysia was also unstable. The previous government was quite reluctant to take major steps in order to curtail the spread of the virus from visitors to the country. And this is where people are so concerned, so fearful with it, and the mainstream media need to play a role, especially the official media, to be one of the most credible media, because it carries direct information from the government. That's why the live telecast briefing helps a lot. And not just being carried on official media, but on the social media. Almost all news portals will carry the briefing live. So every aspect of the messages, need to be distributed, being distributed to the, being exposed to the audience at that time. But again, a question of credibility. Media has certain performance before that, and there is a perception about certain media. Certain media more inclined to certain political parties, for example, and other media on the government, or when there is change of government, you see lots of confusion in terms of where, what kind of media, because we as human beings, we wanted to expose ourselves to medium that is congruent to our thinking. We wanted to reduce cognitive dissonance. So you tend to evaluate at the time, well, where's the direction of this, FB, for example, or the, digital TV, for example. So that's where, at the beginning, people are looking at where is the information coming from. So eventually, it is the government's information that works. So the question of Indonesian media is free, Malaysian media to some extent also free, but of course, there is responsibility to it. Unless and until you publish something that will be create havoc, create chaos in the country, there are laws that can cover that. And especially when it comes to fake news, official media need to verify. That's part of the journalistic. So to answer your question whether how they are then and how they are now, to me, to my mind, my personal opinion, they are just flowing the flow according to where is the in thing now, where is the audience because at this time when social media is so popular, the mainstream media has now slowly dwindling in terms of readership, in terms of audience. People can easily get information from the social media or from friends, from WhatsApp groups and all that. So to me, what has happened before and what has happened now is about the same. It's how the scramble to get audience. You get more exposure to, you get high credit in terms of audience rating, for example. On this question of face-to-face or rather two-way communication, I think this is the government, I must say, that has recognized the importance of communication when we have a pandemic like this, or even a crisis. Every day the press briefing, the regular one in the morning, in the afternoon, and press releases and all that. And part of the importance of communication is about getting feedback. This is usually most when we design a strategic communication plan. Feedback is always at the last, as an result, rather than taking feedback initially to measure the pulse of the nation as part of the inputs in order for us to plan, to strategically plan for communication. So it is a cycle actually, but to some extent we don't give enough emphasis. But having a good feedback mechanism is hugely important here. public relations officers posted in various ministries, the information officers who provide regular reports on the state of the nation, the feelings of the perception of the rakyat, the citizens towards certain policies, for example. That is hugely important. That's why the information officers I mentioned about having an outreach, they're supposed to be at home, they're supposed to be in the office, but yet they are on the ground, meeting the public a bit with a certain social distancing, using their loud hailers, microphone on top of their vehicle to convince the public to stay home, that this is a serious, dangerous virus for us to work together and through face-to-face communication in order to change attitude. Because you see, Malaysia has a long history, especially during the insurgency, the communist insurgency, where the mobile units was part and parcel of the communication campaign to stop communist insurgency. So to the old guards, having these mobile units going around with the loudspeaker advising the public, it's just a reminiscence of the communist era. I mean, against the communists. So the gravity.
Is that the information on wheels that you just mentioned?
Yeah. Yes, that's information on wheels. Various agencies, the health ministry, the information department, and other ministries spread out the message.
Is it effective? Is it effective?
Yes, in a way, it's very effective because some people don't even expose themselves to social media. They don't even know what's happening in media. And suddenly when this mobile unit goes around, and suddenly they feel that the gravity of the problem that the nation is facing. And initially, of course, there are lots of, against the MCO. Why this is not, that's them, that's not me. People always think that. But actually, through this mobile unit, during the discussion, also distribution of pamphlets, and also the announcement that we made, people try sinking in the messaging that we need to work together to stop the change of spread of the virus. So a two-way communication done by the government agencies and also from the operation center is hugely important. Then for the ministries to plan what's next from the feedback being given by every departments. Thank you.
All right. Well, we still have many questions, and I'm sure that the audience, there are about 100 audience now in our meeting. They also have questions, but since we have quite limited time now, already almost 4 p.m. now, 15:52 here in my laptop. Yeah, Pak Membi, shall we go now to the second
There's
speaker?
one question, Pak. May I read it?
Yeah, sure.
Yes. So there's one question from Julia. So to Pak Dato, the question is, how do you see your Citizen Act comply and or contribute towards the communication plan that the government has set? Probably you can share with us so we can learn from each other, as now as many countries is very laid back.
Okay, initially in any countries, the steps taken by the government receive lackluster response from the public. They thought that this virus will not get me. It's the rest, it's the tourists that come in. That kind of attitude. But as the whole world started to share information, the spread in several countries, in Italy, in Spain, in US now, still like 40, 50,000 patients contacted the virus per day, and we wanted to flatten the curve. So the cooperation from the public, because they will see the impact. There are also health workers has become fallen heroes. They were in the course of their job, they contracted the virus and they died. So these kind of stories the media played up and how life is being, turned topsy-turvy because of the virus. And perhaps later on, people start complying with the MCO order, movement control order, and also doing what is necessary, what is being advised to them. So again, the initial part, that's why early on communication programs is crucial to contain the diseases and also to get everyone on board. And we change our lifestyle, you order foods online, foods been the food panda, people, having a hard time delivering, that kind of thing. So to some people it gain, to some people you lose. This is a kind of situation, economic situation, whereby people thought like this is the new normal. We need to work together to stay home, to safeguard our family, take care of each other, and support the government to ensure that we get back to normal. Now that Malaysia is now in the recovery stage, it's supposed to end on 31st August. We don't know. Hopefully there will be no more, rather second wave of, diseases already being contacted. So hopefully everyone still maintain what is being advised on them. Thank you.
I hope Pak Dato's answer will give you a certain insight for you, Julia. So thank you for your questions. Pak Syafiq?
Yes, Pak. Thank you also, Pak Membi, to already helping me in reading the question from the audience.
For
I
sure,
know
Pak.
that the one who put up this question, I know that Miss Julia, she's very good public relation practitioner as well. Okay, now Pak Membi, do you think it's better to give Pamela, Miss Yin, the opportunity?
Yes, yeah, I would like to give new information for all the participants. We are very unfortunate that Mr. Jose is having to travel because of new circumstances, that he needs to travel, so he cannot be here and join us. So I think it will be best that Miss Yin will be given further chances to explain her material, and then we have a discussion, and then probably we can also add Jose at the end. So that's a very great idea, Pak Syafiq. So we can start it from Miss Yin. Miss Yin, do you have any issues that if we started with you now?
Presentation, Miss Yin.
We can start it from your presentation. Miss Yin?
You still mute the speaker, please.
Oh yeah,
Yes,
Miss Yin.
I got the information, yeah.
Yes, yes. We hear you now. So is it okay if we share your video now, Miss Yin?
Yes?
Okay, great. Putri, can you start her video, please?
Hi, greetings, my dear PR colleagues from all over the world. It's my great pleasure to be invited for this webinar by APRN with many PR pros and figures. Today, I will share some of my ideas about the empathy and social responsibility as a new communication approach in new normal. So far, it's good to see many countries and regions are recovering from the pandemic, and people are also getting back to work. This world is suffered long enough, and it moves to a new era. We call it post-pandemic or new normal. I assume it's going to last for a while, so I'd like to share my thoughts with you about the sentimental engagement for communication in this special time. Today, the title of my presentation is Empathy and Social Responsible as the New Communication Approach in New Normal.
Without a doubt, COVID-19 pandemic impacted and changed the world in 2020. This pandemic caused many unexpected new situations and rules for our industry, along with many uncertainties. and we assume it will last for a long period, and it also be called new normal in the era of post-pandemic. On the new normal, what are the challenges we are facing in our communication industry? First, people would keep their social distance and reduce group activities. It will reduce the effect of many communication methods, include outdoor ad, offline events, and so forth. And because of rapid development of individual medium, information flooded in our life. Exaggerated, twisted, and objective news or even rumors are tangled among the truth. As a communication professional, to properly analyze information and the situation at hand is a challenge of the whole industry. Plus, under this condition, users' focus would be affected, and it's hard to obtain users' attention and trust. So, how can we effectively gain users' attention and earn their trust in the new normal? First, I think one key factor is emphasis. PR and communication is an industry to provide services to business, but the origin of our creativity shall fit clients and audience need. I think to deliberate the situation from our counterparts is a practice of empathy, especially in this new normal. Let me give you an example. As you may know, Chinese government encouraged people to stay at home to reduce the spreading of the COVID-19. There is one lady who returned to China who insisted to exercise outside without any protection. And she scolded the policeman who is trying to persuade her not to do so for her own good. Such behavior was exposed on internet, and someone revealed this lady is an employee of a foreign company. Within a couple of hours, this company posted their announcement via their official media channel and acknowledged this lady is their employee. And because she disregarded the public interest and failed to comply with the company's professional ethics, she was dismissed immediately. We can tell this company chose to suppose public interest, achieved empathy to public. Their brand reputation was praised and promoted greatly. This is a good example in the new normal to thoroughly express my point. Besides empathy, another factor I'd like to point out is social responsibility. These two factors are essential to a successful communication in a difficult time. Companies are important elements for society. Its value is a force to lead public behavior in our society. It runs through every PR communication behavior. Under this new normal, social environment became more complicated. We have to embody social responsibility in practice. It is also the foundation of ethics of our profession. This point is easier said than done. Many companies also use this principle to practice their CSR during this pandemic and new normal, and spread positive influence. Like producing medical supplies in full scale, and some of them, like an automobile manufacturer, they stop the production of cars and start to produce facial masks within a week, and all their products only for donation and not for sale. These companies actively practicing social responsibility during the pandemic is quite a good example for effectively gaining public's attention and trust under the new normal.
Here is a video.
On January 31st, Wang Chanfu, president and chairman of BYD, decided that the company must begin making masks within 2 weeks. It would typically take about 40 days to purchase mask-making machines. With no time to spare, BYD decided to be self-sufficient and build the machines from scratch. BYD's powerful capabilities in the research and design of molds and industrial equipment played a key role. More than 400 design blueprints were drawn up in just 3 days. The necessary gears were not available, so the company used its wire electrode cutting equipment to make its own gears. Rollers were out of stock, so BYD mobilized the equipment from its battery and automobile production lines to make the rollers. Of the more than 1,300 components needed for mask-making machines, 90% were made in-house by BYD. In the end, it took just 7 days to convert these designs into fully functional mask-making production lines. In just over 40 days, BYD has reached a daily output of 15 million masks. These masks have been shipped to people who need them most urgently, such as hospitals, local governments, and many more.
Additionally, under new normal, online activities are much more than offline. Many companies start to embrace this new way of communication. One key feature of the online events is the audience are wide. To achieve a better communication, then the core message is more important than ever before. The core message shall include empathy and social responsibility in it. Because the audience is wider than before, so the demand about value and ethic would be even higher for brands and organizations. Besides, I'd like to say individuals are the most basic elements of our society. If their many behaviors embodied empathy and social responsibility, it will cause tremendous influence to audience. Because in this special time, people are much more easier to be influenced to each other. During the pandemic, many common people become heroes of public just because they are empathetic and social responsible behavior. And they also lead the whole society to fight with pandemic and other obstacles by helping others. They donate generously and quietly from their purse saving to support people who are suffering. Some medical interns and students who just got home haven't enjoyed their family reunion, and they voluntarily enrolled to go to Wuhan to fight the pandemic. Some farmers use short video medium to donate their crops, vegetables, and call for donations from others. These activities are not planned in advance. It's normal and simple, but not only applied the most effective new online media method, short video, but also practiced empathetic and social responsible, and it was widely engaged and appreciated by public. Therefore, it's easier to engage the audience and get recognized in the new normal, as long as empathy and social responsibility are included. It could cause wide social influence and radiance positive influence and energy.
My conclusion is on the new normal to conduct a successful communication. Empathy and social responsibility are the essential factors. Especially in 2020, those companies who have empathy and social responsibility would have more chance to win consumers' attention and support. Principle of empathy and social responsibility is fundamental for a successful communication because it would not only be communication between people, it's also a mutual sympathy between hearts and souls, which is the most inspiring communication.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Yin, very interesting, very impressive presentation. We love to see those, how company like BYD shift their car production into making masks until 15 million masks to be distributed with sympathy, with empathy, and showing social responsibility. Yeah, this spread our vibes of the what you call that radiance towards people. Yeah, it's faster. We hope it's faster than the spread of the virus. Yeah,
Yes.
very good, excellent.
Thank you.
So yeah, I think before we also getting questions from the audience, there is certain things that we want to discuss a little bit more. How do you see these private sectors in China in showing their empathy to the community? We have seen this BYD company, but can you tell us more? And does the China government help those companies to embrace better future during this coronavirus? You know, private companies all have trouble. Some companies have to lay down their workers, what we call it here in Indonesia, PHK. Dirumahkan. They cannot go to work. Even some companies have to get rid or lay off their employees. But how the government of China help these private companies? Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Safik. It's a very good question. I think BYD, what BYD have done is a very good example for an enterprise to show their CSR, yeah, especially in this special time of great pandemic. So about your question, I would want to say from numbers, private-owned companies are the majority in the market. Companies is formed by people, and so the society also mainly combined by people. So companies' empathy to society, in fact, is the empathy between people. In another word, companies' empathy is a kind of their CSR, just like the BYD what they have done. Yeah. During the pandemic, we saw many shareholders give up their salary. Just just now you tell about you say about the how the company treat with their staff during the pandemic. There are many good example. Many stakeholders give up their salary and bonus, and employees' salary doesn't remain the same. Or everyone of the company, from boss to employee, they only take, maybe they take 14% of normal salary, but company makes commitment not to reduce, not to cut down their staffs. Yeah. It's in a special
not cutting down the number of staff, but only to decrease the salary? Is that what you mean?
Yeah. So the employee, the staff will not lost their job. They have income to
support themselves.
Support their family. Yes. And many staff, something we feel to moved is many of the staff they are volunteering to reduce their salary. Yeah, sometimes it's not be forced, but they are voluntary because they want to spend the special difficult time with their company. Yes.
Okay.
So yeah.
Is there any companies, any organization that taking advantage of, like, for instance, that also happen in many countries, suddenly the price of mask have increased, so suddenly people selling sanitizer with very high price, some people taking advantage because the demand is so high and there is only little supply for these equipments, and then some people taking advantage and selling this for their own profit. Is this kind of things also happen in China?
Not many, not so much. At the first, at the first, truly, some people, some owner of a shop, of a little shop, they raised their price of the facial mask. But when when the government find the situation, they are they punished the
seller.
The
seller. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
There's a question.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you also ask about how government help the enterprise to spread this crisis. I can say during the pandemic, many companies are really affected, include us. Yes, but we can feel government actively control and fight with the pandemic together with the company. Yeah, it also implemented many beneficial policies for enterprise, like tax relief, low interest reduced, simplify working process and algorithm online. So people are enterprise company would not have to go to the offline to deal with something. They can do it online and efficiently, more efficiently. Facilitate workforce and other measure like coupons or vouchers. After the pandemic, at the time of the post-pandemic, government released many coupons and vouchers to stimulate the consumption and the domestic demand. The most important things is just all these measure or policy. Most important things is this measure or policy give people hope. People can see the force of the government to recover our economy. So if we have hope, we will never give up and keeping fighting for a better future. I think that's the most important thing.
Silakan Pak Membi.
Ms. Yin, there's a question. I would like to formulate this question. So basically the question is, I think during the pandemic, I think it happens in every country that there's a panic buying of individuals. And then especially in the United States, there's a lot of riot in the supermarket and the shopping malls. So I think how can we enforce this empathy and social responsibility towards the society in terms of how we socialize it, how we influence them, and how we enforce it to the society to comply to this, what we call as woke. Yes, woke. So we realize that we are accountable and responsible, and we also needs to give our empathy to the all situations, not only care about our survivals. So the question is, how do we socialize it, enforce it?
非常短的时间，因为我们的物资调配和生产非常充足，所以我们没有这样的问题就可以了。
对。
Yes.
As we know, during the pandemic, many countries occurred the lack of the supply.
Yes.
But in China, we cannot feel that situation. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
From the beginning of the pandemic to now, all the price of the goods is
very stable.
Stable.
Wait. Okay. Stable.
And only at the beginning of the pandemic, the facial mask is some extent short, but only 1 month. Only 1 month. After 1 month, we can buy the facial mask in the market. Yeah.
There are no short of supply.
There are no short of supply. Yes.
Okay, I think the question is also like, how do we enforce empathy and social responsibility? Is it through campaign? Is it through policy? How do you actually, there's a lot of movement in China, especially even from the individuals. Actually, for your examples, like there's a farmer who actually given their crops. So I think, how do actually we ask people to do this? Is it using digital platform, or is it like you actually campaign this towards the society?
Yes, 就是科技在这个上面。
对，他说用什么手段，然后可以让更多的人去参与到这种捐献的对实现他们自身的这种社会责任感。对。
Yes, I think technology played a very important role in this pandemic. Yeah. Especially the live shopping. Maybe we can call live shopping. Live shopping.
Yes.
Yeah.
Live streaming. Yeah. Live streaming. Yeah.
Live streaming shopping. Yeah.
Yes.
Just during the pandemic, many people share their 就是他们在网上去表现他们的那个什么，通过 many people show their emphasis through the short video. You know TikTok?
Yes, of course.
Yeah. People communication even through the TikTok, we can get the information all over the world, even abroad. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and after the pandemic, the government and companies, they held many live streaming shopping, just for example, just for the Hubei province or for some area, they
recover their economic.
Yeah. Especially for some people who suffering deeply from the pandemic. So I think this just one factor, one perspective of what technology helped us during the pandemic. Another thing is people have to stay at home and working online. Yeah. Formally, we don't think it's essential to working online, but through the pandemic, we think majority of the people think the online
The
era.
course online, yeah.
It's coming. It's coming. We must embrace it. We must embrace it. Yeah. Now, not only working online, but we can hold a meeting just like now. Yeah, hold a meeting online, and even make a make a exhibition online. Yeah. So you know, yeah. 几天前 several days ago, the international 人工智能大会 the international AI conference was held in Shanghai. Yeah, in Shanghai, China. Yeah, and speakers from all over the world through the internet to get to get a communication
discussion. Yeah.
他想问的就是那个怎么样通过线上的方式能够让大家更加自发的去做这些对公益和企业社会责任这方面的事情，他是怎么做？
对 to express the empathy and responsibility. I think online medium is also the best way, because the people can influence each other. For example, yes. I put a short video on the video platform. People can see what I do, and they will be involved and influenced, so they can do better. They maybe be influenced by me, and they can do better. Yes.
然后还是那个就是要价值的认同 value recognition 这个非常重要。
对 ，yes. I think value recognition.
Yeah.
Value recognition is the core message. Yeah, because there is the old 中国有句古语怎么说
？There's a verb.
There is a verb. There is a Chinese verb. One person was born. Yeah, his money is 人之初性本善.
Well, his nature, he is naturally good.
Yeah, one people are born. His naturally are good. Yes, but we need to express our good, so other people can see, so they can be influenced. So all the world, because all people compose the society. Every people. Hi, sorry. Just now we dropped. Yeah. So if I'm not sure if we have answered all your questions. But I think maybe the time is limited. So if you have another question, we can communication later. Yes. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay. Apologize.
Hello, everybody. I'm really sorry for the technical difficulties. Okay, Ms. Yin, please open your...
Yeah.
I'm really sorry. So, yes, can you please give your more elaborations for that?
Yes. So I think if you have, I think there are other speakers. So if you have any other question, we can continue later.
Yes, for sure. For sure. That will be great.
Yang question nanti di forum aja.
Pak Syafiq?
We can move to host video.
Okay, I think Pak Syafiq has still having technical difficulties. So please, Putri, can you share House's video? And then we can have a panel discussion for all. Putri, can you please share Jose's video? Hello, Pak Syafiq.
Hello.
Yes, we're gonna put Jose's videos and then we're gonna have a panel discussion.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
Yes.
How is going on?
Ya.
Suaranya belum keluar ya.
Putri, suaranya belum keluar, Putri.
Communication Management. Hi everybody, this is José Manuel Velasco, immediate past chair of the Global Alliance for PR Relation Communication Management. As you may know, the Global Alliance is the largest community of PR professionals and academics. Thank you very much for inviting me to this Webforum. I am based in Madrid, in Spain. I am speaking from Madrid. It's a pleasure to share with you some thoughts about the role of communication in the current crisis, in the current pandemic, but mainly to get out of the crisis. My first message is to express my solidarity and support to all the colleagues that are directly or indirectly suffering the consequences of the coronavirus. Of course, we are going to get out of this crisis, but the key is to do it with the less possible damage. And to get that success, we need to boost our communication. We need to improve our communication skills. I'm going to share with you 5 challenges that the PR industry, the PR profession is facing because of this crisis. Some of them are structural, but another one are conjunctural or are accelerated by the pandemic. The first one is taking care of the soul of companies. During the crisis, companies have have to contribute to social needs, and they, in the crisis, they have demonstrated that they could contribute, have a very important role contributing to social needs. And also it was very important when the company was involved in essential services, so they were in the first front of the fight against the crisis. And really the challenge is to keep that soul, to keep that feeling that is very good for the reputation of the companies in the next phase of the crisis, that is an economic stage. The second one is not about the soul, it's about the body, because communication, PR, has to cooperate with marketing to boost revenues. Companies have to recover the level of sales pre-COVID-19. So it's about collaborating with marketing and sales. It's about contributing to generate leads. It's about providing contents to reactivate conversation with customers, giving the voice to clients, and finally is to keeping the human side of the soul. The third challenge is very related to internal communication. During the crisis, internal communication has become critical for the health of companies. It's about transparency, it's about the need of good information, it's about trust, it's about confidence, and it's about engagement, because it's very important to keep the engagement of employees during the crisis, but it's still very important to keep that engagement to boost the activity of companies. In that case, to keep the internal engagement is very important to be coherent with the message that people health first. Is still very important. It's also about providing reasons and emotions to raise the commitment. Is
time that emotions are going to be in the surface of the skin. So it's critical for managers to deal with the emotions of teams, to deal with their own emotions, and to be very aware about that momentum and that sentiment. Third one, to boost the internal engagement, is to train employees to become real ambassadors. They are ambassadors of the reality of the company. And so it's very important to train them and to have confidence on them. And finally, it's about listening carefully to internal conversations. It's time to listen at the conversation that are around the company and inside the company, because many of those conversations inside the company are going to go out of the company, and the level of trust of employees in this moment has raised a lot. The fourth challenge is a social challenge. Is part of the corporate social responsibility of companies. Is transferring confidence from companies to institutions. We have to help to fix the system, because the system has been hit by the crisis, and because sometimes it was very difficult to deliver the best solution for population. So institutions have to manage the new normality, and companies have a role to help institutions to manage that new normality. How they can do that? First of all, playing always on the field of truth. It's not time for post-truth. It's not time for alternative narratives. It's time for the best possible narrative, and that narrative must be related with facts. Second is avoiding mixing information and opinion. I think it's a problem of our society, including of our media. They are mixing all the time information and opinion, and people that are consuming information need a clear separation between information and opinion. And finally, it's about helping media to the digital transformation. It's not time to take advantage of the weakness of media for our companies, for our communication. That could be a very huge mistake. I think it's time to help media to adapt to the new environment. We need media. There is a process of disintermediation, but we need also still media to take care of truth, to act as the police of the truth. And I think is quite relevant to collaborate with media to create our own narratives and to stretch that narrative. And the fifth one is also part of our responsibility as PR managers, is training people to communicate better. Communication is the most powerful tool of everybody nowadays. We need like a vaccine against fake news and post-truth, and that is training. And criteria, how to boost the criteria of employees, clients, providers, the criteria to select information, to select the right information about not only about our company, about the things that are happening around us. The function is before the ability. Sometimes many managers are very worried about the ability, how to deliver a speech. But more important than the way that you deliver a speech is the message, is the narrative. So the function is creating narratives, is creating the narrative of the company, is creating the narrative of the people that are working for the company. But it has been seen as a function, not only as an ability. Because an ability is like a tool, and the function is an important function with all the function of the companies. So you can deal with the human resources when you are managing people. You can deal with compliance. You can deal with corporate governance. You can deal with many departments, but in the same level. To have the same level, companies must consider communication as a function. It's also an ability, but first of all, it's a function. It's also about training employees on how to manage their social media, because if they know how to manage their own social media, they would be they will manage better also the message when the message are related to the company. And maybe it's just an idea, but we have to train spokespeople for the next crisis. Hopefully not the next pandemic, but we are going to face several crises, new crises for sure, because we are living a time of uncertainty. So we need spokespeople very well trained to face this kind of crisis. And it's also part of our responsibility. It's a responsibility of the function, but it's also a responsibility of the profession. Those are the 5 challenges that, in my opinion, the public relation industry is going to face in the next months. Finally, I have to say that I think we have a very nice opportunity to keep on the first front fighting against the crisis, and also strengthening the reputation of our companies, and also contributing to improve our society. The impact of our profession goes beyond our companies. Thank you very much.
Hi, greetings, my dear PR colleagues from all over.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Jose, although you're not here, but that's a very insightful, and we would like Pak Shafiq.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, Pak Mandi. Thank you, audience, ladies and gentlemen, for paying attention and enjoying this meeting. Although there was a bit of interruption before, but we still have quite plenty of audience participants still attending this meeting. Now, our discussion will begin shortly, but let me just take some notes from what Jose Velasco just present. So basically, Jose spoke about 5 challenges that PR industry are facing. Some are structural, and the others are accelerated by the pandemic. Number 1, he said, is taking care of for the soul of the company. A very powerful message is people first. This is similar to what Ms. Ying mentioned about individuals. Individuals, people first. How can we, the management of company, of institution, of organization, balance between stakeholders? Can the company keep the message in the next months, to still be balanced? To keep the balance, companies must pay attention to the social needs. Management have to boost the contribution to their people, back to the basic people first. As Ms. Yin mentioned, individuals. Number 2, it's about the body. After the soul is the body. The body, because PR or communication people have to collaborating with marketing and sales to get revenues, profit of the company, of the organization. So here we must maintain productive conversation with the customers. We remember that one of the maxims these days is that the market is conversations. Now, people in the digital world said there is no use for us to have lots of followers in our social media, in Facebook, in Twitter, in Instagram, if we don't communicate. We need to have conversations with these people. Yeah, we need to have dialogue with these followers, with the customers or others. Otherwise, it is better to have only 100 followers, but we communicate with them, rather than having 1,000 followers, but we don't communicate. We don't have dialogue with them. So that's already becoming like the maxim or the rules for social media activities. And now, since everything is internet, yeah, not only internet of everything, but now everything is internet, everything is online. So that's what Jose said. Number 3 is internal communication, very critical for the health of the company. So it's about how to keep and maintain transparency, good information, trust, confidence, and engagement. Engagement means we are not talking with numbers or with the ... the digital word, but we are talking with people. Back to the basic, people first. Yeah. The other thing, before we move to the audience, some takeaways from Dato Ibrahim. I jot down some of them. That Malaysia have good leadership, and building trust to the government is important. The government always controlling the movement. Always there are testing, tracing, clear and consistent messages, and all fact-based information. So communication, according to Pak Dato, played crucial roles. There were many interesting things happened in Malaysia, the political turmoil, the uncertainty, the fear. There was also mass panic. But what important is, according to Dato Ibrahim, is that we need to separate between fake news and real news. Real news matter. So trust in the information. It is the essence of what we call now, although perhaps Dato Ibrahim has not mentioned, it is what they called the infodemic. The infodemic, they said it's more dangerous than the pandemic of virus. And now the infodemic is threatening us together with the virus, with the pandemic. But to some extent, the infodemic can make people make people demotivated, make people got wrong information, and it's very dangerous. Yeah, we can discuss that more if we have time. So from what Dato Ibrahim said, it is critical about how to tell our story to the audience. Yeah, we have to know the news cycle and understand that resources are strained, and all companies, all organizations, all people need to think of long term. Don't think short term because if we think short term, usually we will forget the ethics and things like that. But if companies manage for tomorrow, for long term, then the companies, the organization, the management will do everything ethically. From Ms. Yin, the very important, very interesting speech and presentation from Ms. Yin too. There are challenges. Number one, people like to keep social distance. Number two, it is important to distinguish between truth and fake news. Basically, similar with what Dato Ibrahim and Jose, their messages. Yeah, and the recipe, there are two recipes according to Ms. Yin. Number one is empathy. Number two is the social responsibility of organization. There was some very good example of BYD, a good company in China that really showing their social responsibility. Yeah, that's all. I think the one of the essence or message that we heard from all the speakers are that successful communication spread the vibes, the radiance of good spirit much more faster than the virus spreading around us. That's the essence of all the communications rules and regulation for every communication people like us. I think that's a little of conclusion from my side. I hope I have already said it correctly. I'm sorry if there is a little bit of misunderstanding. I hope you all enjoyed. Now I give it back to Pak Membi, to the host. Please, Pak Membi.
Yes. So there's a question from Alia Siloy. She's from ASEAN Youth, Ambassador Indonesia. So her question is, so there will be two questions. Before, there's a question about what is the strategy if we are using digital communication? Is it made by the government, or is it made by companies, or even like communities individually? So the second question is from Alia. The question is, I would like to ask, is it about the effectiveness of communication itself during the pandemic? I'm sure every country faced this problem, and what really matters for public relation is when our message is successfully delivered or not. To communicate the awareness of this virus, what is the effective and accurate parameter, how to actually the benchmark of public relation must have? And then, the question is how to run a campaign digitally during the pandemic COVID-19. Can you give us like example what China or even Malaysia has done in this digital campaign during the pandemic? That is the questions. So I would like to give this question to Pak Dato and then to Ms. Yin. So how is the digital campaign that already been done by Malaysia and also China? Thank you.
Okay, let me start by the last question. How do you run a campaign in a digital pandemic? Basically, when we have the social media, the Internet of Things, IoT, it's in the hands of everyone. You become the source. You become the contributor, you become the curator, the creator of information, and also your own campaign. It's no longer controlled by a certain quarter, because you have your own network, you have your own TV, you have your own newspaper if you want to be. So it's a question of how digital savvy are you? It's how social media savvy are you? There are people who make money by creating a YouTube channel, for example. You make money by that. And of course, the subject matter is something that appeals to everyone. In the campaign for pandemic like this, the question of what is my contribution towards making sure that we all are safe, That's why the hashtag kita jaga kita, we protect each other. That was it mean. Meaning to say, you don't flout the law, you don't flout the control order. You go out, you're not just endangering yourself, but eventually when you come home, you are going to bring the virus back home. During the Hari Raya, there was no movement. You don't go balik kampung or mudik kampung in Indonesia. But there are still people who try to find ways to, go back home, not thinking about the impact of the pandemic towards their old age parents in their, village. So again, this responsibility, everyone played their role. Everyone who have knowledge in social media will post something in their Facebook account. Hey, please, let's get it done together. Let's be over together. The MCO, the restricted movement control order, and now the recovery movement control order. Let's get it together. Get rid of Malaysia, because government will help, because within their powers is to make sure that there is no cross border. There is no tourists coming in who brings in the virus from overseas. The only Malaysians who are stranded overseas can come in. Even that, they have to be quarantined for 14 days in a specific location provided by the government, mostly in hotels. You enjoy a free holiday in hotels for 14 days, all food provided, a nice hotel, 5-star hotels. It's something, a privilege that the government has put up. And yet there are people who says that I need to go home. No, this is not that. That's why the society, every society played their role in telling everyone, please adhere to the movement control order to get everyone for the country to recover. And regarding the strategy to use during the digital, as I said earlier, it's about facts. It's about portraying emotions, and it's about getting actions known to the rest. Fact is how widespread it is. What area, say if your housing estate become a pandemic area, become a new cluster, for example, that area being cordoned off, just like you see in the movie, all the barbed wires being controlled, not because the government wants it to be seen to be harsh, but the only way to control the movement of people is through putting up barbed wires, and that's a fact. And we, as consumers, as citizens, put up a message that the feelings that we feel is necessary for the government to take such a drastic action. That's why the result is Malaysia is among the most successful country that that managed to flatten the curve. Just few days ago, 0 cases for 3 consecutive days. Only like yesterday, there is a spike in the number of cases to 14. Even that is the spike came from those returning overseas. Malaysians who were stranded overseas, now they're coming home, and yet they need to be quarantined, but easily being detected when they come home. See, the question is not that you're given, or rather you're being forced to be, in control. You were forced to be at home just for the good. You don't think it as a selfish thing for yourself. It must be the whole country that will support. And again, the actions. What are the actions? If you are NGO, what kind of contribution? The social responsibility, your contribution to society. As I mentioned earlier, that there are societies, there are NGOs who contributed through donation, distribution of food, so needy, those who are out of job, who don't have enough food. There are thousands of NGOs who do a charity work by providing food for the underprivileged. And there are also NGOs and also companies who jump in the bandwagon to get their mileage, or rather to get their brand seen, not because of they're selling drinks, for example, but they contributed drinks to the frontliners who has been working tirelessly for hours in the PPE suite. My daughter is a doctor. I mean, I can see for myself, how strenuous for her to be in that PPE for long hours. It's all her sweat, her body being drenched with sweat. It's hot. So that kind of messages sent to the rest of the community. Look, please help them by staying home. Everyone needs to contribute. So the messaging is feelings, action, and the facts that comes together to as a part of the strategy to be shared everyone contribute, everyone play their part, everyone stay home. Of course, there are, a little bit, not to say stupid, but those who are against whatever measures made by the government, or even for themselves, until and unless their close family relatives been contacted with the virus, then only they realize how severe is the problem. Thank you.
Thank you, Pak Dato.
Maybe boleh saya menambah, sorry. So, can I add something a little bit?
For sure,
It's
Pak.
interesting discussion.
For sure, Pak.
Yeah. So for Alia Siloy, I think beside the empathy and the things that CSR that have been mentioned by Dato Ibrahim and Ms. Yin, I think in any campaign, the audience will want to see the benefit, what benefit they get. If they don't get benefit, I'm talking the customer or the audience here. If they don't get benefit, including like now in this meeting now, the Webforum, you all see the benefits of attending this Webforum. If you don't see that there is benefits by coming and joining these meetings, you will not join. All right. So benefits number one, people wants to get what's in it for me, something like that. Yeah, I mean, apart from what they have been discussed by Dato Ibrahim. Number two, you don't need to go to all the platforms. Just see which one that suit you. If you are not really, and you don't need to go to Twitter, just use Instagram or Facebook, then do it. So choose the one that's really suitable for you. And number three, it has to be monitored 24/7. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That's to see what people are talking about us. If not, then we don't know what people. So we don't listen. We don't know if we don't monitor. Of course, it cannot be done by just one person. It needs to be a teamwork. Yeah. Because now there are 4 mega shifts in the consumer behavior in COVID. Number one is that, the stay-home lifestyle. People working, living, playing with social distancing from home, number one. Number two, now people go to the bottom of the pyramid. There is less people that talking and thinking about, the pyramid of Maslow, remember? The bottom of the pyramid is about health, about food, about drink, about safety. So people are now going back down to the bottom of the pyramid. And number three, everything go viral. Everything go viral. Yeah, so you are right. You are talking about being digital. And number four is the shift of the sympathy, of the empathic society. Yeah, now the rise of the empathy and solidarity, from drone parenting to positive parenting. Before this pandemic, it is difficult for children to have meeting with their parents because parents busy working and coming home late at night. So children never have time to spend, time together with their parents. Now they have more time. Yeah, that's the beauty of it. Yeah. So this 4 shift. Number one, stay home lifestyle. Number two, back to the bottom of the pyramid. Number three, go virtual. Yeah. So we need to think about online homeschooling, praying, virtual praying. Now the birth of Zoom generation. Now we are using Zoom, right? And number four, the empathic society. That's a bit of my suggestion. Thank you, Pak Membi.
Thank you, Pak Syafiq. Probably there's can you give some a little insight as well, Ms. Yin, before we close the session?
Yes, I think I have something to add, and to express myself exactly, would I let my assistant translate my point, translate my opinion? Is that okay?
Yeah, for sure, Ms. Yin.
Yeah, okay. So 这两个问题，我觉得其实是一个问题啊，我特别想回答一下这个问题。
Actually, there's two questions from Camelia and Alia, right? Yep.
Yes.
Actually, these two questions are related, are quite related.
Yes.
其实这个疫情带给我们的，并不是说疫情带给了我们多少就是不方便，或者是说带到了完全另外一个世界。疫情带给我们的是就是一个加速到来的数字化的时代。
Actually, this pandemic didn't. What is really caused is it boosted the evolving process that lead us to the digital era.
对，这个时代迟早要到来，只不过因为疫情，我们提前加速到来了。
Yeah, actually, we going to that phrase is just a matter of time. But thanks to the pandemic, it shortened the time, or we should say, it forced us to go there earlier than we expected.
对，所以其实刚才讲的这些。比如说我们在沟通中的问题，包括在这种情况下怎么有效的到达我们的受众，这个问题其实这些问题都不是问题啊，因为我们迟早要面临这些问题。那要解决这个问题，我觉得有几点，就是第一点就是仍然是内容，有效的内容，足够有吸引力的内容，在任何时代、任何方式的传播都是亘古不变的真理，就是内容。
Okay, actually, we're talking someone have doubt about the obstacles or thinking about the engagement. Actually, the center, actually the core factor is remain the same, is the content. You have to carefully make the core message, because the good core message not only able to reach to the audience, and the audience will spread them by themselves motivatedly. So you don't have to worry about the obstacles and the engagements. As long as your core message is good, it will get there.
是的，所以这个内容只要内容好，其实技术不是任何问题。现在的 AR 和 VR 完全可以非常真实的去模拟我们的线下场景，这都不是问题。前两天我们参加那个第5届世界智能大会的时候，我们可以 download 到那个平台上，我们甚至可以选一个座位，我们选完座位之后，座位上还会出现一个小人儿，然后小人还能鼓掌，这是非常真实的线下场景，技术不是问题。
Actually, the technology is getting more advanced as times, so it will help us in many ways. So as long as your content is good. So nowadays we have VR, we have AR, so we can vividly mimic all the conference, very, very realistic. A couple of days before, Pamela went to an online conference with a virtual background. We even able to choose a digital figure, and we can actually sit inside the venue. We can choose a seat and sit there and see the conference through their eyes. So we even can applause.
Yes.
Okay.
技术可以解决一切。我最想强调，最后加一句，就是说我们真正要解决的是我们心理问题，就是我们不要认为我们还能回到以前，我们回不去了。我们要大胆的、快乐的拥抱这个数字时代。我们要解决的是我们心理的问题。
Actually, Pamela said the last obstacles and the biggest one is the obstacles is our mind.
Yeah.
We have to accept we already in this digital
platform.
We cannot going back. Yeah, so we have to embrace it and to find a way out of this because we are all new. So we have to find our way, and because the environment are various, it's not the same. So the solutions in China maybe will be different from solutions from Indonesia or Thailand or America. Yeah, right. So we have to figure out. But we already in this era, and there's no way to going back.
Yeah.
That's
so I think the most important thing is change our mind.
Yeah,
not others.
Change our mind.
Yes, change our mind, not the technology or other things.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Yes. Okay. Okay. There's another 2 questions, but I think I will try to wrap it up. I think the question is, for example, there's a question for Pak Dato as well. How did Malaysia government communicate effectively about the legal sanctions? So what there's Ayu, Troy, and Mr. Troy also asked how to create policy in terms of reward and punishment in enforcing the new policy regarding the new normal, and especially when people are doing something that very already highly enforced. For example, ignorance. For what did you, Pak Dato already said, ignorance there is still existed, resistance that still existed. So how actually we can take the new normal for the sake of healthy safety and economic safety? Yes, Wulan and Mr. Troy are asking about how the legal sanction and the policy about reward and punishment, how the Malaysian and China actually generate these 2 aspects.
Yeah, for Malaysia, it is again the society that is in a little bit disarray politically.
Yeah.
There is a lots of sections of society who support the previous government and support the current government and support the opposition. So there is a little bit uncertainty in terms of that. But again, when it comes to crisis like this, so you need to forget about your political affiliation. People tend to not to say forget, but put aside. More importantly, is for us to be together. To celebrate those who really sacrifices their life in order to ensure that they are from the government side, they are from the frontliners, the health worker, doctors who died, nurses who died, and also family members. So again, every Malaysians will express their grief. My heart goes to the family of those who have died during COVID, and this is, to some extent, we can call it as the cement for societal well-being. Forget your differences, you come together, work together in order to get out of this pandemic together. So, of course, there are legal and punishment kind of, there are rewards, there are punishment. Rewards means if you being seen to be for whatever role that you play, there are some people who viral things that someone has done good, and they get monetary rewards through audience sharing of their posting from the social media, apparatus. And there are also legal punishment that has been, say, not too harsh, like for those who flout the law, those who come out from the movement control order, they were fined quite heavily, about 1,000 Malaysia ringgit if they were caught for no valid reason. But of course the government, if they get caught for what reason, you're out. Someone die, in order to get to see a doctor, to buy food, so that is allowable. But there are people who just think that I go out to have food, to have dinner in one restaurant over there, where which is not allowed. In fact, the restaurant who opens at that time is also flouting the law. So they're thinking about selfishness, thinking about them making money. This is a time not for that. So the legal part, the punishment part, and also the reward part. And now is the time for us to recognize the contribution. That's why APRN and also the captains of the advertising, the marketing communication industry have come together to celebrate those heroes. Among them is the chief spokesperson, the leader who provides all this confidence, all this comfort in my life in how to handle this pandemic crisis. That's Dr. Hisham. And also the current government who has taken the right steps because in order to ensure that everyone is safe. So on that score, we were considered to be lucky in the sense that the decision made by the government much earlier to contain the virus from spreading like some other countries. Thank you.
Thank you, Pak Dato. Ms. Chen, can you give your insight, please?
Yes, no problem. Yes. Oh, about the question, yeah, I would like to answer the question of the Troy.
Troy.
Yeah, Troy.
OK. 这个就是说，这个怎么是
how to explain the new normal in one sentence? Yes. So also I translate. You help me. Yeah.
Sure.
我认为什么叫新常态？新常态就是说，未来因为这个世界其实正在变得越来越复杂，未来我们要像疫情这样的事情可能会就是经常的发生，它可能不是一场疫情，但这种不确定性将来会经常的发生。
Okay. So from our opinion, the new normal is not specific to COVID-19. It's a code name, or it's a way to say it's a certain time that we're full of uncertainties. Yeah. So maybe in the future we have many more unexpected obstacles. So the new normal is a way we explain to the folks this world is become more complicated than ever. Maybe more complicated than we ever imagined.
Yes.
Yeah.
对，所以就是我们要做好一切准备，也可能未来的一个不确定是说，我们可能在虚拟世界里有了另外一个我们的自己，因为随着技术的发展。但是我们如果真的虚拟世界里有了一个另外我们自己，我们怎么去应对？其实这也是一种不确定。所以我们所要做的就是，一旦不确定发生，就快乐的、积极的去拥抱它，然后接受它，然后过更好的生活。
Maybe in the future we have a totally digital version of ourselves in the totally virtualized world. So how can we deal with this? What happened going to happen to ourselves? So this also the thinking that we need to think ahead of that. So all we gotta do is we embrace it and we try to find a way out, just like we mentioned before. And we try to do the best out of ourselves.
You wrapping up?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my answer. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for the insight. I think everyone already gave their closing statement. Shafiq, can you summarize?
Yeah, I think we have already come to the end of this session here. But before we conclude, I just want to remind you maybe for the audience to stay there so that we will take picture, yeah?
Yeah.
For everybody, yeah. Yeah, so I think basically the conclusion is about the importance of being positive, keeping spirit, being in the empathy to the others, yeah, to social, to our neighborhood, to our community, because we cannot just be selfish like what Miss Yin shows that lady, the sport lady, just go by herself and eventually sacked, fired by her company. But we need to really take care of our society because we belong to them. We are part of the society. That's number one. Number two, that management, the company, have to encourage their employees to also be concerned about the people, the safety of the people, and innovations and creativity are needed, like what happened in many countries. Some companies shifted their their products from doing like producing cars into producing masks and things like that. Yeah, and as the rule of thumb of communication, that always two-way communication is the best way for every companies, for every manager to pay attention to their audience, the customers, the employees, and all the stakeholders. I think that's basically that's the things that we need to emphasize, Mr. Mambi.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Pak Shafiq. And thank you, everyone. We would like to take a group picture. So please, I would like everyone to open their camera.
Ready, Mandy?
Oh, yeah, the camera.
So there will be 3 screenshots. Please tell Mandy.
There will be 3 screenshots. So please be still, smile.
Yes.
Especially we got very insightful knowledge now, so we can smile. We know what to do. We know what we can enhance in terms of how we do things now. So please, everyone, open their camera and smile.
Alright, getting there. Getting there. Steady, bilang steady.
Steady.
There are still some camera that are okay. It's alright. Okay, last one.
Yeah. Love, yes, love, of course.
Okay, got it. Maybe for the series 2.
Yes, I would also like to inform all the participants, please join our next sessions. Putri, can you please show the poster? Yes. So our next web forum is revisiting CSR, corporate social responsibility and sustainability in the region in the era of the new normal. The moderator itself is my mentor, Pak Elmi Tabrani, with our 3 speakers, Miss Ani Natalia Pinem, Mr. Hamilton Dos Santos, and Mr. Dato Carbonaro. So the topic can companies who are not doing well do good? And the second topic is, how does company refine their CSR and sustainability in strategy in the new normal? And the last topic, how do we manage brand and reputation to help reduce the impact to sustainability and livelihood in the region in the new normal? So basically, we're talking about a CSR program and sustainability program that we can actually generate and produce in the new normal. Please join our next session. It's in the 21st of July, 2020, and it started at 3 p.m. Indonesian time. Thank you all. Thank you for Pak Shafiq as our moderator. And thank you to all our speakers. Unfortunately, Mr. Jose is not here, but Ms. Yin and Pak Dato, thank you very much for your insightful knowledge, and hopefully we can also learn from each other, and hopefully Indonesian and especially people around the world can learn from this. Thank you all, and on behalf of APRN, I would like to say thank you.
Thank you very much.
And bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Good.
Yes. Thank you, Pak Dato.
Thank you, Giselle.
Ini mana namanya ayam bertukos.
I'm looking for the. Bye. See you.
Thank you.